Sarah Boone was in court today, and guess what? She's not happy. Anybody surprised? The following contains clips from her time in court. I couldn't get every minute, just so you know, and I interrupt a lot, so if you want to see some whole thing uninterrupted, this isn't the place. The sound was terrible. I spent a few hours trying to fix it, but I'm really bad at this. So here's your warning. The sound goes up and down, and different parts of it are bad in different ways. I couldn't do a lot with a lot of it. If you're listening with headphones, be prepared to hit that volume button quick.
I've obviously not seen the letter.
Another letter. As soon as the clerk uploads it, I'll bring it to you.
Ms. Boone is correct. She has walked out of the last 2 visits when I've tried to review things with her.
I bet you Boone didn't like what she was hearing or wasn't getting her way. I'm glad this lawyer is disclosing to the court that Boone has walked out on her.
Just so the court knows, I've spent probably 20 hours, a little bit more, a little bit less, with Ms. Boone. She has lots of lists, lots of questions. In reviewing the court file, she was distressed previously about having access to her lawyers. I have taken collect phone calls from her that are at my expense. JAC doesn't reimburse you because I think it's important for clients to have access. I have spent...
Hang on, please. No one's interrupted you this morning, Ms. Boone.
As I said, I've spent over 20 hours going through her questions, going through her lists. When I tried to update her with regard to the depositions that I took recently, she opted to exit the jail conference. When I tried to review some things with regard to discovery as to things I wanted to make sure she was aware of, she walked out.
Note the lawyer wanted to make sure the client was aware of particular things. It doesn't matter what exactly these things were, because the point is that the lawyer knows that there were things that needed to be shown to the client, and the client needed information because that would impact decisions. The lawyer is doing exactly what you'd hope a lawyer would do. There are things a lawyer will pick up on that someone without legal training wouldn't cue into as being important. It sounds like Boone didn't like what she was being told. I'm not saying that's a fact. I am saying that's how it appears, and I base that partly on what we're hearing and partly on her past behavior.
She has asked me repeatedly for a copy of some medical records. Based on the discovery I got from the previous attorneys, one of the copies of those medical records had her handwritten notes. So she had a copy given to her previously. She'd reviewed them with previous attorneys. I sent her a new copy.
Interesting that she's repeatedly asking for something she's already viewed. Maybe she forgot the details and wanted to have a look at it again. This stood out to me because Boone has complained before that she has not seen her discovery. But then again, maybe Boone is referring to some other information when she makes this complaint. But she hasn't ever specified, so it's hard to say what exactly she thinks the whole world has seen and she has not.
Some of the things that she thinks are important from a lawyer perspective, perhaps I don't attach the same importance to, and you try to explain that to a client. I know the court's in a difficult position, but at this point, we're at that impasse of if she walks out of every conference that I have with her, I'm not sure what that says about the attorney-client relationship.
Ma'am, you said there was something else that you had other than a 58-page submittal or letter. What other information is it that you're seeking to have me take a look at?
It's things that I've been working on in the meantime, that she likes to tell me is not necessary, but I know for a fact it is necessary.
Once again, Sarah knows better than her lawyer.
She likes to, in quotes, put things to rest all the time and constantly tells me I'm not having this conversation with you. So I'm not going to waste my time, and I, being in jail, have supposedly abundant amounts of. She's not going to waste my time because she's not going to explain something to me. And I have taken it upon myself to explain it to myself.
Being in jail, Sarah has an abundance of time. Remember before when she complained that she was busy? The thing that killed me here is when she talked about her lawyer not explaining something to her. And she said, so I've taken it upon myself to explain it to myself.
Because she refuses to do so. I don't understand what it is that she has against me.
Who said the lawyer had anything against her? This is a cue, by the way. If you heard this from someone you didn't know, or if you heard, they're out to get me, it's a cue to listen more closely, dig a little deeper, and look at a broader picture. There are plenty of times when people are out to get someone else, or they do have something against somebody, or they do treat them badly unfairly. People do get bullied and ganged up on. It happens all too often. But this language and thinking is also common among perpetrators who are justifying their response, or they're justifying in their head their planned response. So it can be a warning sign.
I have told her from day one that her snotty attitude was inappropriate.
She's so self-righteous. She sounds almost proud of herself for giving that lawyer the what for. Day one, she tells the lawyer her snotty attitude was inappropriate. This is actually worse than simple entitlement. You ever run across someone who starts a fight because he didn't like the look of someone else, or because somebody looked at him the wrong way? And what a way to start a working relationship, eh? Your snotty attitude is inappropriate. And once again, this is a general accusation, not something specific with facts to back it up. Just throwing mud around.
And I try very hard to bear with her and her attitude.
Long-suffering Sarah. Everybody else has personality problems except Sarah, don't you know? Remember how she said she helped Mr. Torres so much? She's the savior victim, and everybody is beneath her.
I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong to her, but I feel that her attitude has equaled prejudice.
Day one, your snotty attitude is inappropriate. I don't like what you're saying, so I'm walking out on you. Gee, I have no idea what I could possibly be doing wrong. Why won't she be my puppet? People are objects to be used by me. Why don't people act the way I want? Why don't they bow to me, love me?
Prejudice, which is not in my favor, especially considering she's supposedly representing my life.
Okay. Give me an example of, if you could, of items that you believe are important Ms. Cashman is not giving attention to or dismissing as you may have framed it.
Yes, Your Honor. She likes to tell me that I don't like her answers.
That's probably true. You've heard me say the same thing about Sarah, and many of you have probably said or thought the same as well. Sarah rejecting answers because she doesn't like them, and then claiming her questions weren't answered is a pattern she has exhibited.
She's not giving me any answers to this written 3 pages worth of questions, but I'm still waiting for her and any other attorney to actually answer for me, such as, why can't I have a bond? Why can't I have a download of my phone? Why can't I speak to my investigator? Why can't I have my medical records? Why can't I fully utilize my constitutional rights? There's 3 pages worth of questions that I have.
What constitutional rights
I like how the judge zeroed right in on constitutional rights. Saying someone's constitutional rights are violated is a serious allegation that cannot be ignored. Just pointing out the judge is doing his job here, in case she screams later that he isn't. If Sarah makes a credible allegation about her rights being violated and the judge doesn't address it, it's going to be a problem down the road. And of course, we should all want everybody's constitutional rights protected.
Specifically.
I'm very leery about having a fair trial at this point. There are a handful of other amendments that I have been researching and working on and trying to incorporate. To me, what I have written to you is obvious, and apparently from the correspondence that I get from the world, South Korea was the last place that I received correspondence.
She brings up concerns about a fair trial. She's going to have to provide some reasoning for that, but the concept itself, the right to a fair trial, is important. But she doesn't give the reasoning, and she's done this before where she throws around lofty concepts and emotional hooks without any substance attached to any of it. So she doesn't give reasoning here. Instead, she goes on about how she's doing her own research. And did I hear correctly that she said she is receiving correspondence from the world?
Correspondence that I get from the world, South Korea was the last place that I received correspondence.
Yeah, the world. And South Korea was the last place she received correspondence from.
They obviously see the same thing. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong other than wanting to have a very successful outcome. It's just been long and drawn out, and I believe that God obviously believes in me as much as I do him in order to give me this very unique adventure that I am on, and I'm doing my best to let everyone know who I really am as opposed to the malicious murderer that everyone thinks that I am.
It is so important to her that people don't think she's a murderer. I've addressed this before, both generally and specifically. A finding of guilt would shatter her sense of self if she accepted that finding, which I don't think she would. You see, she has to make this all seems so unfair so that if she's ultimately found guilty, she can say the whole system was wrong and it was all unfair. And even while in jail, she is, consciously or not, delaying her trial over and over. I've come to think that she would rather sit in jail than be labeled a murderer. Imagine the delays if she actually got bond. As for her wish to let everyone know who she is as a person, well, through her own words and behaviors, she has been letting everyone know for years now. Of course, what she is showing and what she wants people to believe are two different things, and she wouldn't like that either. This is another pattern with her, though. I've addressed this in several previous videos. The one entitled Beware the Imposed Fantasy might contain more of my comments on this subject.
I don't feel that she can do that properly. I still always, the reason why I'm here is hope. Is to hope that she will come in with a gentle, softer side and actually listen to what it is I'm saying.
She wants her lawyer to come in with a softer, gentler side. So she should get to dictate her lawyer's personality traits. Does she want a nursemaid or a lawyer? Yes, I know that lawyers should be courteous with clients and there's appropriate conduct and inappropriate conduct. And it's also true that there are reasonable parameters to all of this. I have heard nothing yet that suggests this lawyer has acted inappropriately. In Sarah's world, if you are not exactly who she wants you to be, how she wants you to be, when she wants you to be that, then you're wrong, bad, inappropriate, unfair, pick an adjective. When someone uses the phrase actually listen. That tells me the person feels unheard or not understood. Sometimes the listener really didn't listen. Sometimes they did listen but didn't quite understand. I think Sarah wants someone to say to her, "Yes, I understand you're a good and lovely person," and other such things. Having said that, I concede that I don't know everything, and Sarah could be trying to convey something or some things that no one is really understanding. But overall, I still think she is the one who is shutting her eyes and ears as hard as she can. She is the one who is invested in not understanding, because that would require taking responsibility. That would require introspection and a mirror that is not distorted. And she just can't bring herself to look. Although lawyers do listen to a lot of emotional stuff, and many offer expressions of compassion and understanding, their focus is going to be on what's going to be helpful for their client in court and or within the system. As much as experienced lawyers understand about human beings, they are still not therapists.
And see the bigger picture other than what's the one avenue that she keeps going down. There's other ways to win in more than one way.
It sounds like Sarah disagrees with her lawyer about how to win this case, and that the lawyer is going down one avenue and Sarah wants a different one. This is interesting. It sounds like the lawyers want to go with battered spouse, unless that's changed. And if you've been following me for a while, you know why I think that will not work. Sarah's remarks here make me wonder if she realizes as well that that's not going to work. I don't know what story or stories she's been giving to her lawyers, and I don't know what she has failed to tell them. We know that she does omit things. If she has cherry-picked what she's told them, she wouldn't be the first defendant to do so. It happens that a lawyer will build a defense and find out later that the client failed to disclose things, and the defense falls apart when those things come out. Whereas if the lawyer had all the information, the lawyer may have chosen a different defense. It is possible that Sarah knows that moving forward with a particular defense will cause other things to be revealed that she wants to keep secret. And I wonder what avenue it is that Sarah wishes to take. Of course, we can't know that. Sometimes an accused will insist on going in a particular direction for defense, but the lawyer knows it won't work. Some people are insistent that their way is the way to go, despite having no legal experience. We don't know in Sarah's case what avenue it is she wants to go down, or why the lawyer thinks that that's not the best path.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm not saying that I'm trying to remove her. I'm just trying to ask you, please, forgive me for having to ask you for this. If you could please let her know, please, to just be nice to me.
I note that Sarah is saying she's not asking for her lawyer to be removed. She's asking for the lawyer to come under her control. She can't ask for removal. And I'm not saying she legally can't. I'm saying she has a lot of reasons why it's not a good idea for her to be the one to do that. If this lawyer withdraws or is removed, Sarah can't let that appear to be her fault. And just be nice to me. It's so simple in her mind. And what does nice mean to her? I think it means be who I want and do what I want without resistance.
And have a welcoming attitude, and things will probably change, and I will not get up and I won't go.
I had to listen to this a few times. If the lawyer has a welcoming attitude, is what I think she said. And she said, and things will probably change. She keeps telling on herself. She said, and I will not get up and I walk out. And I had to listen to that a couple of times. She didn't say, I will not get up and walk out. She said, and I will not get up and I walk out. I walk out. She has just admitted to doing what her lawyer said she did. But, of course, she has it all justified in her own mind. The other bit to this is, hey, it's my way or the highway. It's my way or else. Everybody be and do what I want, how I want, or I will make things difficult for you. And she will bully even if it's to her own detriment. If she's willing to hurt herself this much to have control, imagine what she will do when the stakes are lower. I could make an argument against bond for her.
Please don't lie to me. Please don't give me half-truths. And
What instances where there's been falsities or lies that have been told to you by? Give me an example.
my biggest one, Your Honor, is for me being here ongoing 5 years, no one has ever bothered to try to get me a bond.
What's the lie?
Good on this judge for focusing in on the allegation. Boone has a pattern of slinging mud without backing anything up. Claiming a lawyer is lying to a client is a serious accusation. Produce the receipts, honey.
You said that she has lied to you. What is the lie?
The process of getting a bond. She lied to my brother.
The process of getting a bond is not specific, of course. And according to Boone's own words, the lawyer lied to her brother, not Boone.
In regards to telling him that he would need to come down to the courthouse to have multiple photographs taken for documentation, would have to bring the security information needs to us. And then it turns into all these other different stories of why she won't do or why she has said certain things. And all this changes in a mutate after I asked her for certain things, not just for the bond, but for other things also.
So she's still not clear on what the lie was in respect to the bond. And then she moves on to allege lies about certain things. Still no example of a lie. If Boone is worried about stating something specific, the specific lie in open court, there are other ways she can address this and disclose this specific lie that she's alleging. But I don't think she's interested in that. And that is her pattern. Make vague accusations, refuse to avail herself of the opportunities through proper channels, and then blame someone else.
Okay, well, let's focus on the bond issue because you said that she's lied to you. And what you've told me so far, none of that is inaccurate.
You're making a serious allegation. The judge is listening. Answer. I bet you she doesn't come up with a clear answer.
So how is it though, because I don't have any experience prior to this, I don't know the process of getting a bond other than what I have read, and it's just for her to do a bond.
Wait a minute. 2 minutes ago, she was smarter than her lawyer, and she's so smart and wise and self-educated that she can scream to the world about how all these lawyers and the entire criminal justice system isn't doing things properly, and if they just listen to her, then it will all be great for everybody. But now she doesn't understand how things work. Remember, too, that she single-handedly saved Mr. Torres from jail. Yes, it's different, I know. But she's a great leader and a savior when it suits her, and a victim when it suits her. And she still has not stated what the lie was.
Motion for a bond hearing, but I didn't know that anyone, all of the other inmates, even officers, have ever said that they've had to do that process in order to have photographs taken and documented and use proofs and visit to his house. He's not listing my bond, which I told her a million and one times, but she still spooked him by asking by him something that he's going to have to, and it would threaten his security clearance considering he's in this service, the military.
Here we go. The allegation is that the lawyer spooked Boone's brother. He was concerned about how it would impact his security clearance with the military. Let's talk about this a bit. First, there's still no lie on the lawyer's part. Still no specific allegation of a specific lie. The problem is that her brother isn't going to help her with bond. And Boone blames the lawyer here. She spooked him. Did the lawyer spook him? Or did the lawyer lay out the facts and the facts spooked him? And there's another piece to this, something that shows who Sarah is. What do you suppose Boone wanted the lawyer to say to her brother? The truth? Or whatever she needed to have said to convince him to help her with bond? I suggest to you it's the latter. If Sarah wanted her brother to be given the truth, she wouldn't accuse the lawyer of spooking him. And Sarah's pattern is she wants what she wants, and that's that. Her brother has a lot to lose, yet he's willing to consider putting himself out there. But understandably and wisely, he's not just going to throw away what he's worked for and possibly his future. If Sarah wants him to be told whatever is necessary to get him to agree to help her, remember, she's a control freak. This is not out of character. What does that say about her? Would you be less than forthright with someone when that information is critical to them making a decision that might cause them harm? Or would you want that person to have a full understanding of all of the risks and responsibilities? But we've seen before that Sarah feels entitled to make decisions for other people, to direct other people, to take over, to take away the autonomy of other people. Mr. Torres begged to be let out of the suitcase in which she forcibly confined him. She decided she would not. She told him, F you. She told the first responding officer she wanted to make him squirm. Mr. Torres told her he couldn't breathe. He begged for his life. Sarah told detectives she decided he was crying wolf, so she didn't let him out. She decided that she knew best. She knew better than him whether he could breathe or not. And consent? That means nothing. So don't expect her to want someone else to make informed choices or give informed consent if that goes contrary to the outcome she wants. Even if you believe that what happened was some hide and seek game, which is ridiculous and there is evidence to the contrary. But even if you ignore all that and want to believe it was a game, the second he said he wanted out, that game was over. And when she decided to not let him out, she committed a crime right there. But it didn't matter. What Mr. Torres wanted and needed didn't matter. The only thing that mattered is what Sarah wanted in the moment. The stakes there were literally life and death. Oh, you might argue that she didn't understand the stakes were that high. I submit to you, she didn't care what the stakes were. If she felt so entitled to absolute control that she decided to disregard a man begging for his very life, she decided it was up to her whether he breathed or not. Do you think she might feel entitled to control what information her brother gets and entitled to put him at risk when the stakes are less than life and death? Sarah's problem is not that her lawyer lied. Sarah's problem is that her lawyer told the truth. And Sarah didn't get what she wanted, and she's pissed about it. And when Sarah's mad, somebody has to pay.
So she totally deterred me from having my brother's address in order for me to have a motion for a bond.
No, she didn't deter her. The lawyer told the truth, and Sarah didn't get her way. And we still haven't heard what the lie was.
No one else has even any father to even ask me for one, and I will be honest with you and the court. I know for a fact that however sky high my limit would be for my bond to receive, I know for a fact unless my fans would set up GoFundMe pages or God's will or however else it is He planned for me to have it paid, if at all.
Wowzers. her bond can be sky high. Doesn't matter how high because her fans are going to find a way to pay for it. I know there are Booners out there. I've been yelled at by a few. Are there that many so dedicated that they would come together and pay a sky high bond for her?
My point is to utilize my rights to have a bond. And with the information I have included in here to you, for the amount of conservation of publicity, there's nowhere that I could go even if I were to be at a quote flight risk because of the amount of information that everybody already knows about me, what I look like, and what I eat apparently, and so many other things. There's nowhere I could go.
On the issue of flight risk, she does have a point. But then again, with fans all over the world, so vast in number and so dedicated that they would pay a sky-high bond for her, maybe some of them will help whisk her out of the country. Joking aside, there are more grounds to consider than flight risk alone.
If I even think about being a flight risk, it's just the fact that I would like please to have a bond so I can say that I actually achieved something.
Sorry that was cut off. I was unable to get the entire hearing. She said she wanted to at least have a bond, and quote, so I could say I actually achieved something. What a sad statement that is.
The House, what it said was, the media's been in the courtroom for all the hearings, and it's likely that they would be here for the bond hearing, that your face could be on the television, and it was a concern for him. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. But Judge, I can't spend all my time defending what I'm doing and at the same time be effectively preparing a case for trial.
Yes, she's right. And she shouldn't have to defend what she's doing. Explaining what she's doing to the client is one thing. Having to defend against accusations is something else. But her client is a vengeful person. And it doesn't matter what this lawyer does. It will never be good enough. Nobody will be good enough for Sarah. I've said this before.
In these situations, I know it puts the court in a very difficult position. As I see it, Ms. Boone has a couple options. Number one, she can ask you to represent herself. She has the right to. You have a Feretta hearing and determine whether she's capable. The court then has to address the issue of whether it's appropriate to appoint standby counsel. Obviously, since she believes not a word that I say after 40 years of doing criminal defense, I'm probably not the right lawyer for it. It's one last lawyer either works or it doesn't. And, and sometimes, unfortunately, the court gets put in a position that you have to have that conversation with a client that you don't, if you want your counsel of choice, then you need to hire your counsel of choice. And everyone can certainly do that. And if you're indigent, the court can only go through this so many times with Ms. Boone coming to the court and there ending up being irreconcilable differences, such that the counsel that you have appointed can't move forward and provide effective assistance to counsel.
Okay.
Very good argument. She used the concept of effective assistance of counsel, important principle. And now it's on the record that this is an issue and it's not about one particular lawyer. The defendant herself, the defendant's own behavior is creating a circumstance disabling a lawyer, creating a circumstance wherein counsel cannot be effective. Excellent argument and, in my opinion, correct. Sarah's next court date is September 24th at 9 a.m. That's all I've got for you for now. Trust your gut. See you in the comments.